The calendar on Nova's phone screamed wedding rehearsal dinner, but the notification was instantly overshadowed by a new, frantic text. Catering truck broke down. Need 150 mini quiches in 90 minutes, I'm doomed. The bride, Nova Lane, a freelance event logistics coordinator, lived for this kind of high-stakes last-minute chaos. She considered a smooth event a wasted adrenaline rush. The wedding was for her best friend, Poppy, and failure was simply not an option, even if it meant performing culinary miracles in less time than it takes to watch a movie trailer. She threw on her trusty crisis mode t-shirt stained with ancient coffee, but Luckion grabbed her enormous, fully stocked emergency supply bag. Her only hope lay with the newly opened and allegedly excellent artisan bakery, The Last Crumb, located 4 harrowing blocks away in downtown traffic. Nova bolted out of her apartment building and collided head-on with a large, warm, solid object, sending her emergency bag flying into the air. The object turned out to be Finn, a journalist known for his charmingly cynical investigative pieces and currently his profoundly apologetic expression. His arms were full of documents labeled, Top Secret, the Great City Hall Proposal Scandal, which now fluttered down the sidewalk like unfortunate pigeons. "Oh, I am so sorry. I wasn't looking," Nova gasped, immediately dropping to her knees to gather the scattered papers, a few of which had landed in a puddle. "It's fine, really." "I was equally distracted," Finn said, kneeling beside her, running a hand through his slightly damp, dark hair. Their hands brushed as they both reached for a document labeled Budget Overrun, Do Not Disclose. The static electricity was surprisingly noticeable. "I'm Nova. I'm currently on a life-or-death quiche procurement mission," she explained, trying to sound less unhinged than she felt. "Finn, I was on a life-or-death deadline for exposing municipal incompetence." "Looks like we both had pressing engagements," he replied, managing a genuinely attractive smile despite the situation. They quickly gathered the papers, but the damage was done. Nova's adrenaline was peaking, and Finn's cynical composure was definitely wavering. "Look, I have to run. But seriously, you owe me coffee for almost making me lose my job and almost drowning my investigation," Finn said, pulling out a crumpled business card. "Deal." Assuming I don't end up in culinary jail, Nova called over her shoulder as she sprinted toward the bakery. She arrived at The Last Crumb, breathless and demanding, only to be met by a scene of equal chaos. The head baker had just sliced his finger on a rogue pastry cutter. The only person available was a young, terrified apprentice staring helplessly at a cooling rack full of barely baked goods. Nova assessed the situation with the speed of a field general. "Okay, new plan. I'm taking over. Where's the quiche filling?" She commandeered the kitchen, barking rapid-fire instructions while wiping flour from her forehead. In an astonishing display of coordination, she utilized the apprentice, convinced a delivery driver to run a secondary supply errand, and began assembling 150 miniature quiches. The next hour was a blur of whisking, rolling, baking, and narrowly avoiding a grease fire. She finished with 5 minutes to spare, packing the delicate pastries into insulated carriers. Just as she was about to leave, the bakery door chimed, and Finn walked in, looking slightly less stressed than before. "I figured a disaster relief coffee was in order," he said, holding up 2 large steaming cups. "I love you," Nova declared immediately, taking the cup. "But I have 150 very hot, very important quiches that need to be delivered to a rehearsal dinner 5 blocks away. And I have no hands." Finn's investigative instincts kicked in, replacing his romantic interest momentarily. "A wedding? Is that where all the municipal incompetence money is going?" "No. It's my best friend's wedding, and the original catering truck literally imploded. This is a personal disaster, not a political one," Nova sighed. Finn took a look at the array of fragile carriers. 5 blocks, downtown traffic. That's impossible to drive without jostling them into a single, giant, expensive omelet. "Exactly. Need a human cargo dolly, preferably one with good reflexes and a strong sense of impending doom," Nova pleaded. Finn hesitated for only a second, the lure of an exclusive, bizarre story merging with the surprising allure of her frantic energy. "I'm your man. But if we break even 1 quiche, you have to tell me the full story of your event logistics career," he bargained. "If we break one, I'll tell you the story. And let you write the scandal piece on City Hall's disastrous choice of street paving materials," she countered. They exited the bakery, Finn carrying 2 delicate towers of quiches and Nova balancing the rest, weaving through the crowded sidewalk. The next 4 blocks were a comedic ballet of near disaster. They dodged a man walking 3 enormous dogs that seemed intent on using Finn's quiches as frisbees. They narrowly avoided an encounter with a street mime who was determined to incorporate their fragile cargo into his act. They had to navigate a sudden street cleaning operation that required them to sprint across a soapy, slick intersection. At one point, Nova had to duck under the arm of a construction worker. Finn had to perform a dizzying pivot to avoid a scaffolding pole. "This is officially the most adrenaline I've had all week, and I almost got arrested yesterday," Finn managed to grunt, his arms aching. "It's invigorating, isn't it?" Nova grinned, feeling completely alive, despite the threat of pastry failure. As they approached the venue, a pristine, historic manor, they saw Poppy, the bride, standing outside, looking pale and defeated. "Nova, I thought I was going to have to serve artisanal crackers in despair," Poppy cried, rushing towards them. But Poppy's rush caused a greater crisis. She tripped over a small, decorative planter box placed too close to the walkway. Poppy didn't fall entirely, but her sudden lurch sent her veil flying off and straight into the path of Finn, who was holding the most unstable tower of quiches. Finn, reacting with pure journalistic instinct, executed a move that was part limbo, part martial arts, bending backward at an impossible angle. His feet left the ground for a second, but his arms, clutching the quiches, remained rock steady. He landed with a soft thump, slightly winded but triumphant. Not a single quiche had been disturbed. Nova rushed to help him up, a genuine laugh escaping her lips. That was the most graceful near-death experience I've ever witnessed. Years of dodging aggressive subjects and rogue facts, Finn quipped, carefully handing the quiches to Poppy's incredibly relieved maid of honor. The rehearsal dinner was saved. The guests ate, the bride was happy, and Nova felt the familiar, wonderful crash of successful crisis resolution. Finn, who was supposed to leave immediately for his deadline, found himself lingering near the punch bowl, watching Nova in her element. She was laughing with Poppy, her face animated, her energy infectious, and the coffee stain on her t-shirt only added to her charm. "You're good at this," Finn said, approaching her with a fresh glass of sparkling cider. "You thrive in the pressure. It's the only time my brain works properly." "I'm a total mess when things are calm," Nova admitted, taking a sip. "The opposite. I need quiet, organized information to make sense of the world," Finn confessed. "If my notes looked like your apartment right now, I'd panic. My apartment is organized chaos. I know exactly where the missing socket wrench is. See, I need to know why the socket wrench is missing in the first place, and where the manufacturer's warranty is filed," Finn chuckled. Their differences were immediately apparent, yet they seemed to lock together like 2 perfectly mismatched puzzle pieces. They spent the next hour talking, ignoring the formal speeches and the polite mingling of the wedding party. Finn talked about the thrill of breaking a big story, the meticulous process of uncovering a hidden truth. Nova talked about the art of turning impending disaster into a beautiful event. It's the sheer logistical nightmare of seating charts. He liked the facts. She loved the friction. "So about that coffee I owe you," Nova finally said, leaning against a marble pillar. "I think the quiche run counts as payment, plus interest," Finn smiled. "But you promised me the story of your career if we broke one." "We didn't break one." "Your ninja move saved the day," Nova reminded him, mock pouting. "True, but I want to hear the story anyway. And I want to hear about the next near disaster you coordinate," he pressed. Nova's heart did a strange, unexpected flutter. This was more intriguing than any deadline. "I'm on the hook for a massive corporate gala next week. The theme is under the sea, which means I'm currently hunting for 200 biodegradable kelp costumes," she revealed. "Kelp costumes. That sounds like a story that needs a chronicler," Finn said, his eyes lighting up with genuine excitement. "Are you volunteering as a human shield against rogue, sequined mermaids?" "I'm volunteering as your personal, highly cynical, quiche-carrying, investigative co-conspirator," he clarified, his smile widening. Nova laughed, a sound that made a few heads turn. "You're ridiculous, Finn. And you, Nova Lane, are a beautiful disaster waiting to happen," he countered gently. They realized they were standing a little too close, surrounded by people they hadn't noticed were there 5 minutes ago. The air was thick with the scent of lilies, expensive cologne, and the faint, lingering aroma of savory quiche. So, the corporate gala. "Friday night," Nova said, giving him the chance to bail out of the chaos before it started. I'll bring the kelp research and the coffee, Finn confirmed, pulling out his phone to add a note to his calendar. Checked his phone. Oh, I have to go. My editor is currently threatening to hold my salary hostage. Go, save your job. I'll text you the address and the kelp status update, Nova instructed, giving him a quick, spontaneous hug. It was a brief, surprising contact, but in that moment all the high-stakes adrenaline from the day coalesced into something warm and genuinely hopeful. Finn left quickly, a flurry of hurried apologies to the guests he passed. Nova watched him go, feeling a strange mix of relief from the day's success and anticipation for the coming week's certain turmoil. She realized that for the first time in a long time, the chaos she was running toward wasn't a professional necessity. It was an invitation. She hadn't just saved a wedding, she had stumbled into a relationship where the disaster wasn't avoided, it was shared. The moral of the story, she thought, was that sometimes the biggest disaster is the one you almost managed to avoid. If she hadn't collided with Finn, the quiches might have been fine, but her life would have remained perfectly, tragically organized. She picked up a stray fork left on the table, noticing the metallic glint in the candlelight. Finn's presence was like a sudden, unexpected plot twist in her carefully structured narrative. She found Poppy approaching her, her eyes glistening. The quiches were divine, Nova. You're a hero. Just doing my job, Poppy, Nova said. But the smile she wore wasn't about the job anymore. And who was that ridiculously attractive man you were just talking to? The one who executed the impressive quiche limbo? Poppy teased. Nova grinned. That was Finn, my new investigative co-conspirator. He looks like trouble, Poppy observed wisely. He is, Nova agreed, looking forward to the kelp-themed mayhem. But the good kind of trouble. The music swelled as the wedding party began their official dinner. Nova looked around at the happy, satisfied faces, the result of her quick thinking and Finn's unexpected agility. It was the perfect blend of romance, comedy, and high-stakes drama, just like her life was about to become. That's all for our story today. Did you enjoy Nova and Finn's chaotic meeting? Let us know in the comments. Hit that like button. Share this video with a friend who loves a good disaster. And don't forget to subscribe to Storycraft Studio for more intriguing tales.